everyone, to this episode of AtariCade 5200, a subsidiary of the Atari 5200 Super Community Podcast. As always, we have Mr. Mighty Matt D.
Hello, everyone.
Michael, I had to go watch my Girl Scout kids do an Irish jig dance today. Michelangelo.
Hey, how you doing?
And Rick, I won't join Marco Polo. Screw you. Reynolds.
I believe those words are being put in my mouth, but hello.
So today, or tonight actually, we're going to be talking about the Atari 5200 prototype, Pac Man Jr. But before we start talking about Pac Man Jr., let's get caught up with what we've been doing lately. We'll start off with Mr. Mighty Matt D. What have you been doing lately 5200-wise?
Well, I was going to get the Junior Pac-Man prototype made into a cart at AtariCade, but when I found out it had a bug in it, which we can get into that later, I decided instead to get the Pac Man arcade cartridge. It's really nice. I've got to say, if they had released this back then, my goodness, I think they would have turned things around for 5200. It's just like it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. If they would have released that on 5200.
Sounds and looks just like it.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. I love the homebrew scene. The more I try, the more I like it. It's just amazingly impressive what they do. Old machines and today's programming and memory, that they throw enough memory at it, they can really do a lot of stuff.
Now, that's just Pac-Man, or is that Miss Pac-Man as well?
It's just Pac-Man. I think they have, I think for the 7800 they have like a Pac-Man collection cartridge, which is a bunch of different ones on there. But I don't know if they have that for 5200. I just saw Pac-Man Arcade. It was just the original by itself.
Just the original. It's awesome. I got it here. It's actually really good.
Yeah, it's great. It's not that the Pac-Man that Atari put out was bad. I mean, it really wasn't. But this is something else. I highly recommend it.
It was better than nothing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I beat the 2600 one by a wide margin. That's for sure.
Oh, yes, it did. So, Mr. Michael D'Angelo, what have you been doing 5200-wise since the last time we've talked?
Mostly just playing Junior Pac-Man. Really. Playing a little bit on the Switch, the Nintendo Switch. We talked about it last time, the Atari Flashback
yes.
pack. I played that a little bit, but primarily I still love playing on the console itself. So really just getting ready for tonight's episode, playing some Junior Pac-Man.
Cool.
And playing the other Pac-Man variants, like regular Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man as well.
Cool. How about you, Mr. Reynolds?
Mainly Baby Junior Pac-Man.
Hey, baby.
I actually had a question about, is Junior Pac-Man Baby Pac-Man in grade school? Like, I wasn't sure what the relationship is between these things. But yeah, that's something we can talk about. Been playing Junior Pac-Man on the 5200, this prototype a little bit. That's mainly it on the 5200. But I since you guys brought up the Flashback on the Switch, I did look for that it's sold out at my local Target. They don't have it on Amazon yet, so I'm looking for it. Trying to get that. And have you guys seen, it's a 7800 thing. Have you seen the Baby Pac-Man port that's being made over there on AtariCade?
Yeah, Bob DiCrenzo. Yeah. I can't say his name. Yes.
For Baby Pac-Man?
Yeah,
yes.
Baby Pac-Man.
Isn't that the pinball video?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something else.
It is really cool. I've been playing some of the beta drops or whatever he's been putting over there. That I cannot wait for that. But I know it's a 7800, not a 5200. But still.
Okay.
I have to say, I went to RetroCade in Morristown, New Jersey, called the Game Vault, and they do have a Baby Pac-Man arcade. I love that machine. It is really cool.
They have one at the arcade in Wichita, Kansas as well, and I've gotten to play that a bit. It's pretty cool.
So I can't wait to see the 7800 version.
Yeah. It's a really cool version of it. It's put some interesting options in it. It's really great. It's at least somewhat on topic since, like I said, the question of is Junior Pac-Man Baby Pac-Man a few years later. I'm unsure of the chronology here, but there it is.
I don't even think Namco knows.
Yeah.
There's a lot of confusion about this. If you're at all an aficionado of those records that came out in the 80s that were arcade, like Pac-Man Fever, and then Arcade and the Video Victims. Mm-hmm. Do you know about this record?
Mm-hmm.
They have a Ms. Pac-Man song on that. And in Ms. Pac, in their song, one of the lyrics says something about he was, real big on Pac-Man until he met his sister, which is the Ms. Pac-Man that they're talking about.
What?
So in that song, he calls
you're
her
messing
the
me up,
sister.
man.
And I'm like, no, wait a minute. Have you played the game? Cause in Ms. Pac-Man, there's a romance thing going on in the intermissions and stuff. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Something
Incest in Pac-Man. Come on.
So I think there's a good bit of confusion on the family of Pac-Man here. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I know. I know Junior Pac-Man's not recognized as an official. It's not on any of the official collections. So by Namco.
No, it's not. Neither is Pac-Man Plus, I don't think.
Well, what have I been doing 5200-wise?
Yes, Willie, how about you?
Yeah.
Well, what I've been doing is I stuck a 4-port BIOS in my 2-port so I can play frickin' Pitfall and that crazy thing. And I've been playing Junior Pac-Man. Quite a bit.
So Willie, I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to ask the question in some forum, but maybe this can be the forum. So I have a 2-port 5200.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, is there any reason for me as a non-5200 collector, I'm just a game player, is there a reason for me to acquire a 4-port? What does the 4-port get me that the 2-port doesn't? And here you are putting a BIOS into your 2-port, so why don't we talk about that a little bit?
Well, we actually had a question from Rich Adams on our Facebook page. He asked on there, what do we read here? Said, hey guys, love the show, and now starting to organize info on what to purchase for my inaugural 5200 venture. Oh, he's a newbie just like Rick.
There you go. Welcome.
What do you recommend I aim for? A 2 or a 4-port system? Thanks. So yeah, I think that's a good discussion. Now, what's really funny is, you go reading on AtariCade and stuff, there's a lot of discussions about 2-port versus the 4-port system. It's kind of like the 5200 fan base is kind of fractured into the 4-port and the 2-port clans. And they kind of war with each other. It's kind of like infighting within the family. It's kind of funny to read some of this stuff. Well, the 4-port, which was the original that came out, that had that combination power RF signal switch box doohickey. So there was just one cable that went out to the console that took up pretty much half of your coffee table when you had it sitting out there. I think that was kind of reminding me of the RCA Studio 2. It's got the similar type of switch box on it as well.
Yeah, you're right.
And the bad thing about those type of switch boxes, now, granted, it all depends on the quality of the components inside. The 4-port system I had here that I gave to Nermix from Televisionaries, I'm too nice to that guy.
Definitely.
That one had a really good signal on it using that RF combination voltage box. It looked really good. I've seen others that look really bad. And again, it all depends on the quality of the components inside. There's capacitors in there that kind of break down over time. They can cause fuzzy signals and things like that. So I don't think it was that bad when it first came out. But as they get older, you may start seeing degradation in the signals. You can always modify the 4-port system to separate the video and the power and get a really good video signal out of those things, making it like a 2-port kind of thing, if you want to do that. Also, the VCS adapter doesn't work on the 4-port, only works on the 2-port. Mm-hmm. But yet, there's a modification, as you can do to the 4-port system, to get that ungodly attachment for the VCS. It kind of makes my 5200 look like a Star Destroyer from Star Wars when I stick that thing in there.
It's gigantic.
It's huge. It's like, what were you people thinking on this crazy thing?
It's such an odd form factor, like sitting real vertically tall.
Yeah.
On top there. I've always thought that was weird.
Yeah. Well, I read something about that. Is they with the engineers who had to make that, like marketing said, okay, you know what, we should have made this thing backwards compatible. Let's go ahead and make an adapter for it. And they expressed a lot of frustration on how much stuff they had to put in there. Apparently, the designers of the original one went out of their way to make sure it couldn't be backwards compatible. So they had to basically put an entire 2600 in there.
Yeah.
The 5200's really only used as a power supply and a video capacitor. That's it.
It's got its own parasitic attachment
Yeah.
I think when it came out, it was almost cheaper just to buy a 2600.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now the 4-port the connector, so that was so you didn't have to switch from TV to game.
Right.
So it did it automatically. So when you turned on the 5200, it went right to the 5200 video.
Yep.
When you turned it off, it went right to TV.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't remember this, but I remember back in the day, you had to go behind your TV and switch the switch back and forth to play video games.
Yeah, my first experience with that automatic switchover was the NES. I didn't realize that the 5200 did that.
Oh, yeah. 5200 did that. And I remember those switch boxes very well.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on the back of the TV set.
Yeah, you had to crawl around back there and get to them. It was a pain.
And hear my dad, "You forgot to switch the switch back. I'm trying to watch football." You dang kid.
I got in trouble for that all the time.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dad.
And the 4-port switch, every once in a while you get a little shock from it.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, Sparky. Yep. Oh, yeah. It'll do that.
So now, you said you had a problem with Pitfall on a 2-port?
Yes. I couldn't get my Pitfall to play on my 2-port until I put the 4-port BIOS in it.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that either.
I think there's a couple other games, too, it's not compatible. I don't remember what they are, though. But I was wanting to play Pitfall. I was like, dang it.
But in terms of 4-player games, I think was it only Tennis and Super Breakout that were the official 4-player games?
Yeah, and I think Asteroids, the Proto Asteroids.
The Proto, yeah.
That's on that Flashbacks Collection 3. 4-player Asteroids is so much freaking fun.
It is. It's pretty cool.
Oh, my gosh. I've been hoping to find people online to play on that Flashback Collection. But it's awesome, man.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a great port. We ought to talk about that one sometime. Anyway. What else about the 2-port versus the 4-port? I'm trying to remember. One of them has socketed chips for the controller I/O. I think it's the 4-port.
Yeah, probably. I've looked at the motherboard on mine, and I don't remember any of the chips being socketed.
You got a 2-port, right?
Yeah, I have a 2-port.
Yeah. The 4-port I repaired that I sent to Normix, it had a blown I/O chip for one of the joystick ports, and it was a simple matter of just popping it out, popping in the new one into the socket. My 2-port, I put sockets on it. I went ahead and replaced the chips, socketed them both while I was in there doing that BIOS change at the same time. But my personal preference is, I like my 2-port. I mean, it works fine.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it all depends, what kind of price you get on them. There's a system for sale right now close to me. I think it's a 4-port in the box with Pac Man and Super Breakout, I believe, for $79.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's got all the original cardboard inserts and everything. I was looking at it. I was getting ready to contact that guy. I said, "No, you got enough crap in your room. You don't need another big ass box sitting here that you're not going to do anything with."
Right.
It's like kind of like I'm a retro hoarder of sorts, I guess.
Me too.
I'm the same way.
It's like, that's a good deal. Let's go ahead and pick that up.
I've had a 2-port. I started off with a 2-port, and that's still what I use, but there was a 4-port on, I forget if it was eBay or Goodwill, that was pretty reasonable, and I picked that up.
Oh,
it seems like 4-ports are easier to find, doesn't it?
And
yes.
I just wanted it for the collection. I hooked it up enough just to make sure it worked, and then I threw it back in the box, and it's just sitting there, unfortunately. But I just use my 2-port. It's fine.
Yeah. So, Rich, I guess we haven't answered your question.
Yeah.
We're all over the place.
More confused than ever.
Yeah.
I guess it would be interesting to find out. It sounds like there's just not many 4 controller at a time games. Like you're not really missing out on much there. And then like Willie with if there's a game or a handful of games that the BIOS makes them incompatible in the 2-port, that's probably worth knowing. And it sounds like a chip upgrade solves you past that problem, and then you're back to the 2-port being the right solution. There's
a lot of patch ROMs out there too.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you can get the other. Gotcha. Yep, that's another way to go.
You can go that way as well, but you know me, I like to do things the hard way.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to the Intellivision world. There's like 4 or 5 games that won't play on the Intellivision too, and the hobby community has patched them all. You can if you have LTO Flash, you can play any of them. So if you get the patched version. So
why would you want to play them on a Intellivision too?
Well, out of those 5, there's probably one good one. So the rest of them, you don't really need them. So.
Well, if you really want to play on television Donkey Kong on your Intellivision,
yeah, right.
There's an answer for that. Or Carnival.
Yeah, it turns out that they're actually doing you a favor by not having this play on the Intellivision too. So.
Yeah.
Now, we also had another guy pop in on our community page, Mr. Peter Meyer, who's a programmer. I guess he's been releasing some games through Video 61. I've got one of those games here, Venture, which is absolutely incredible on the Atari 8-bit. It's a lot of fun. But I guess he's getting ready to release Putt 18 Miniature Golf. Hey, Ferg, there you go. Surround 'em, Heli Commander, a Muck Box, which would probably be another like a Berserk kind of thing. Secretum Labyrinth Xenogenesis. What the frick is that?
That's a mouthful.
And Laser Blast X. I wonder if that's going to be like Laser Blast from Activision, but amped up. That'd be kind of cool. And he's got a few other games. Oh, here. Okay, you've got Tile Smashers, Megaoids, Delta Space Arena, and Animal Keeper. Wow. This guy's written a lot of games. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, Animal Keeper looked pretty good. I guess it's a Zookeeper clone.
Yeah, that's what it looked like, yeah.
And what was the first one you mentioned? Not Venture.
Megaoids?
No.
Tile Smashers?
No. Oh well, I lost it.
18 Miniature Golf?
Yeah, the putt-putt. Yeah, the miniature golf. That looked really good. I saw some images of that. Looked really nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in that putt-putt
game.
Yeah. That looks kind of interesting. I saw pictures of that as well. It's pretty awesome. So, let's discuss the arcade version of Junior Pac-Man first, where we first encountered the game, our thoughts on everything like that. Let's start off with Mr. Reynolds.
You know, I think as much as I played Pac-Man and Ms. Pac-Man in the arcades, you know, when I was 12, 13, whatever, another, I don't recall Junior Pac-Man. That may have been something that I found out about much later. That wow, there was a Junior as well, and what? There's a baby one. It might have been that kind of thing. So I might have played Junior Pac-Man for the first time in MAME, believe it or not.
Wow. Well, his opinion don't count now.
Yeah, okay, yeah, just forget me.
Matt.
I do remember playing it as a kid. I'm pretty sure my local Aladdin's Castle had one, and I went there a lot. So it was a regular game for me to play. I really liked it. I felt like it was a bit easier than the original, just because the board's bigger, but you've got it's still the same number of ghosts chasing you. So I just felt like I had a little more breathing room, and I liked that about it. And so I played it quite a lot. And I played my mom got me the 2600 version of it years later because I had a 7800, and that's when they were releasing those Red Label games.
Yep.
So, she got me that, and man, I played the heck out of that. That's a good port, too, considering the hardware. So yeah, I'm pretty familiar with the game. I played it quite a lot.
How about you, Michael? When was the first time you remember playing Junior Pac-Man?
Well, mine might have been Aladdin's Castle, too, or we had a place called Mr. Arcade. Here in it was in Nanuet, New York.
Isn't that guy that shrink those little Coleco things down?
I don't know. But I do remember playing it. I liked this is my favorite Pac-Man. Out of all those, regular Pac-Man, Ms. Pac-Man, I really like this game. I don't see it much anymore at the retrocades around here in Jersey. But back in the 80s when this was out, I played this quite a bit, and I did get the 2600 version when that came out, and I love it. I love that version. I still play it a lot. I know they had a port for Commodore 64.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
But the problem with the Commodore 64 version is it didn't scroll. It was all one screen.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's half the point right there.
Yeah, it wasn't that much fun. It was still an okay game, but So really, the closest we have is the 5200 version, which we're obviously going to talk about. And I love the 5200 version. It's just such a great game.
Yeah, the first time I saw Junior Pac, I got Baby Pac-Man on the brain.
Sorry about that.
I keep want to say Baby Pac-Man.
Junior.
And don't say
Yeah.
Baby Shark.
Baby.
I got 3 kids. I don't want to hear Baby Shark.
But anyway, the first time I played Junior Pac-Man, it was probably maybe a few years after it actually was released, because we didn't have it in my local arcade. I actually saw it at the Pizza Inn. They had like 4 or 5 machines there, a pinball machine. Back in the 80s, no matter where you went, you would find arcade machines. You'd see them in the grocery store.
Yep.
My doctor's office had a Pac-Man in the waiting room. They were everywhere in the 80s. And I remember going into the Pizza Inn with my buddies, and there was this new machine there, Junior Pac-Man, and we must have played that game at least half the night. We were there eating pizza. I really fell in love with the game. It's probably one of my favorite Pac-Man type games, like you, Michael. And I think the biggest draw for me on the arcade version is how big the maze is. It takes a while to get around that maze. You really got to think, because sometimes you can't even see the ghosts. They're out there running around.
Yeah.
You don't know where they're at. And they are freaking brutal on chasing you down. Of course, I like how the ghosts have all their classic names, except this time we have Tim.
Yeah.
Tim
I don't know
the
what
ghost.
that's about.
Is he beige, brown, or I can't figure out what color he is, but Tim. Like, that's an odd name for one of the ghosts, Tim. Where'd that come from? But I like how you have all the toy-like bonus items that bounce around inside the maze.
Mm-hmm.
And as they run over your dots, it makes the dots even bigger. It makes them worth more points, but don't let them hit a power pellet, because otherwise it destroys it. But it has stuff like a bike, a kite, drum balloon, a train, a cat, and root beer.
Root beer.
Yeah. I never get to that far in the game to get that root
Well, I'm
beer.
lucky to get to the frickin' drum.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as I played this game in the arcade and on the 5200, I think maybe I've gotten to the train level maybe a handful of times, and I've never seen the final intermission.
No, me either.
I've never seen that in the arcade. That's one of the things I liked about Pac Man when I first started playing that, was those little intermissions. They were kind of fun to watch, and they kind of continued the trend with all their Pac Man games. The intermission scenes for Junior Pac Man, they really cracked me up. You got this little Pac Man kid, this little beanie hat flipping around, and he's falling in love with one of the ghosts, a baby ghost.
Yeah.
Yum, right?
That's
Yum.
some, that's some Jeff Goldblum the Fly kind of stuff there, What kind of kids don't come out of that union, But the cutscenes are actually pretty cool. You got one where they meet, and the next one is where they meet on this bridge, and you got the parents that are, spying on them, and then they finally escape. There's only like 3 intermission scenes. They kind of repeat as you go up. So there's not a whole lot there, but it was still kind of cool that they had those intermissions in that game. I still can't figure out why they named the ghost Tim.
Tim.
I've been looking like crazy trying to find information. If anybody out there knows why they named that ghost Tim, please write it to us.
I'd like.
I really
I
want to
looked
know.
around to try to figure out what that's about, because that's the only one they introduced. They introduce him by himself. Tim. Okay. All right. And Yum, of course.
And Yum, the little baby ghost. Yeah. So every time I see that ghost Tim, I keep expecting to hear the to appear in the background.
Well, I mean, the fourth ghost was always oddly named with from the rest of them, right? I mean, Pac Man, they called him, at least in the U.S. In Pac Man they called him Clyde.
Yeah, well, that's not
weird.
weird.
Ms. Pac Man the fourth was called Sue.
That's not weird,
right? And then Junior Pac, it's Tim. It's just
weird.
picking another name.
It's like calling him Rick.
It could be. You never know.
Have you guys ever played the IBM PC version of Junior Pac Man?
I looked at a video of it. I was not impressed.
If you think the Commodore 64 is bad, play that one.
I don't think I've played that.
I think in general it's kind of surprising that IBM PCs, like, the games were so bad back then. I mean, now that's really all you've got, and they're fantastic, but it's hard to believe it ever became a gaming computer. The games used to be so bad on there.
I know.
Well, was that an official port?
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it was. It's amazing.
They sold that for money.
Sold it for money. I think it came out like the late 80s or something is when it came out. Same time as the Commodore 64.
And the 2600 version blew them away.
Yeah.
Oh, man. When that came out, of course, when it came out for the 2600, I was already out of high school. I was in college, you know, and I wasn't really buying a lot of video games because I was still into, you know, cars and chicks and stuff like that. Hey, baby. Anyway.
Hey, baby, I got Junior Pac-Man. I'm using that now. I got Tetris VR, you know, hey.
I remember being in the Hills department. Dang it, Michael, you got me cracking up now. I remember being in the Hills department store, picking up some stuff for college, and I remember seeing Junior Pac-Man for sale back in the electronics department. And I just picked it up on a whim because I really liked the arcade version. And I was pleasantly surprised how well it was on the 2600. It's actually really, really good. And, of course, there's also one for the Intellivision now. It's a homebrew. If you guys get a chance to see that, that is an awesome game. I was sent the ROM to make a video on by the programmer, and I absolutely fell in love with that game. And my cheapskate buddy Rick would never buy me one.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's how that went down. Yeah, that port is interesting because the way they chose to solve the problem of adapting the maze to that resolution was they just let it scroll both directions. Mm-hmm. So the mazes are actually 1-to-1 pixel by pixel to what the real arcade ones are. It's just you zoomed way in, you know, whatever to what the Intellivision can handle resolution-wise, and it just pans around. And so you're actually playing the exact maze that's in the arcade. It's a really interesting approach to it.
Oh, that's cool. That's
a
good idea.
It's really, really good. You know what I want for Christmas, Rick? Anyway.
I hear that, yeah.
So now let's talk about the 5200 version of Junior Pac-Man. So, this was a prototype. It was supposed to come out around 1984. Of course, we know the crash happened, and unfortunately this, and there was another, I think Super Pac-Man was the other one.
Super Pac, yeah.
That never made it out either, which was very unfortunate. So this ROM, which you can get from AtariProtos.com, along with a lot of history of this ROM is on there too, is pretty much a complete ROM, except it does have a bug in it that Matt mentioned. And what is that bug, Matt?
Basically, what happens is if you know how we talked about the prizes on the make the dots bigger, and that's a pretty neat feature. But what happens is if the prize runs over a power pellet, it blows it up, and that explosion takes a little bit to happen. If you get killed by a ghost while that explosion's in progress, the power pellet basically just stays there, but you can't eat it. So you can't finish the level. Like the program gets confused about whether or not that's supposed to be there, and it thinks it's there, but you can't make contact with it, so you're just kind of stuck. It's a game breaker because you have to reset it to get back to the beginning.
So I did not know that, but I had this exact thing happen.
Awesome!
I've never had it happen to me.
Oh man, it was the craziest thing, and I'm like, what is going on? And I because I saw that the pellet, when it comes back, it's not drawing properly. It's kind of like half there, and it kind of looks like maybe there's an X through it or something. The graphics a little garbled, but it's flashing like an Energizer. And you go over it, it didn't work. Nothing happened, of course, as I'm clearing the board. And I finished the board off, and it kept me on the board. And I was like, I think I know what's going on here. And I ran around for another couple of minutes, avoiding the ghosts and just kind of moving around the maze. Went over that fake dot 2 or 3 times. And it's like, yep, this is where my game ends. you can't move on. It happened to be my last guy, so it wasn't like I could try killing myself and see what would happen after that. But so when I killed myself, my game was over. But
I had a bug, and so when you can select the level, so you can select what level you start at. It's basically which prize you start at.
Yeah.
So I was just playing around. I started at higher prizes. I found that every once in a while, my Junior Pac-Man would go right through the prize and not actually eat it.
What?
And that happened twice for me.
so I noticed that when I'm in line with a couple of monsters and the prize, or just even several monsters, there's some flickering that's going on.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
I wonder if maybe that's what's happening. Like it's either multiplexing or something, or I don't know. And you maybe the prize disappears for a second. I don't know.
I wonder that too, because I feel like I've run right through ghosts and not gotten caught before.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
think
that
that's
happened too.
So I think they just needed a little bit of quality assurance check on it before they released it, and it would have been finished. But maybe this stuff just didn't get caught, you know.
And I don't know if you guys had this. I had this odd issue where when I'd start my first game, when I turn on the 5200, I start the game, I could not move right. I could move up, down, left, but I could not move right. I had to restart, and then I could move right. Almost every time.
That's weird.
Maybe it's a version of the ROM I have, but
Yeah, where'd you get your ROM?
I don't remember. I've had it for a while.
I got mine. I got mine from Atari Protos. Mine is 22884 final version. It's the one I'm using.
It's been a while. Maybe I'll update it. I didn't have a chance, but if I restarted the game, it worked fine, so I wasn't too concerned about it. I did have a hard time getting the Master Play clone to work with this.
Really? I didn't even try that on mine. I used the joystick.
Just getting the settings right, and the same with Pac Man too. Just getting the settings right took a while. The original 5200 controller worked pretty well with this. So I didn't have that many problems.
Yeah.
I'm not that great at this game anyway. So
Join the crowd.
It's a hard. Your Pac Man's a tough Pac Man game.
Mm-hmm.
I was surprised at how well the 5200 joystick worked for me playing it. I played my first couple of games with that controller before I moved on to the Master Play and a digital controller. But this kind of game, I did not expect the 5200 analog stick to work well with it. As you know, famously, it doesn't do well with this kind of thing. But it was I was surprised at how well I did with it. I think I was able to clear the first board in that game, get over 10 grand or whatever points and stuff like that. And I thought, well, this isn't a crap game by any means, even though I'm using this joystick. I did like the digital better, but I was surprised at how well it handled.
Yeah, it controls really well.
I think there's some getting used to it involved with the 5200 controller. Like when I first got my system, I didn't like the controller at all, but I just kept at it, and eventually it doesn't really bug you that much.
Yeah, it's such a shame it never came out back then, because I think this probably would have been a really good seller on the system.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
And it captures the arcade game pretty well, except for the cutscenes.
Yeah, they're missing entirely.
Yeah, I was so disappointed. I finally got off that frickin' first board. I had no cutscene. I'm like, man, I felt let down.
I was kind of surprised by that too, because maybe that's just stuff that was going to happen later. As they're polishing it, obviously, that could definitely be separate from regular game development. Mm-hmm. But it seems like a no-brainer to put something like that in there.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I bet they would have included them if it had gone all the way through development, because they put them in this Pac Man, I think, and they put them in the original one too. So it seems like they would have been a weird thing to leave out.
So, what kind of high scores did you Yahoos get? Let's start with Mac. No, we're not starting with Mac. We're going to start with Rick.
All right. My best score was 36,650.
Oh, holy crap! Michael,
I think I had 22,200.
And of course, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
I actually am trying to look it up because I forgot.
What?
Yeah, I really did. Trying to. Oh, there it is. 35,010.
Wow.
Whoa.
Hey. Oh.
Whoa. What'd you have again, Rick?
$36,650.
Oh my God!
I
want to say I feel good that it was on a Pac-Man style game. that's probably my strongest kind of game.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, my pathetic 19,620, which I made the video on for our promo. I love this game. It's just this game don't love me.
Oh, it is pretty hard. I think it's harder on the 5200 than the arcade, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I tend to do better on the arcade version, I noticed, when I was trying to record gameplay video for this video from the arcade. I'm just happy Rick actually won.
Yeah.
If I can't win, at least someone does. I mean, gotta beat Matt, man.
That's right.
Even at Christmas.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a fun game, but it is tough. And I find that it's very easy to get trapped in this version of Pac-Man.
Yeah.
And with those when the giant dots, the prize comes out and the giant dots, they really slow you down. And 9 times out of 10, I'm hosed if I have to deal with the giant dots.
Yeah, if there's a whole big long trail of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Or as you get into higher levels, the energizers start wearing off faster, and the mazes become brutal. There's this one maze where it has like little circles. You got to go in a little door and circle around and come back out again. Those are killers. Don't go in those when there's ghosts behind you, man.
Well, plus a big change from the other Pac-Man games in the series is there's no warp tunnels.
No.
I mean, the screen scrolls, which is cool, but every other game has a warp tunnel, which I use constantly to escape, and you don't get that option here.
Nope.
Right.
And with the scrolling, there's times I think I'm about to clear the maze.
Nope.
I hit what I think is the last dot, and I'm still going. I'm like, oh no! And there's dots I missed on the other side that I have to still get, and that's gotten me a few times. But that makes it fun. That's what's really fun about this game. The other thing I think about the prize, I don't know if this is on the arcade version as well, but when the prize goes over the Energizer, it explodes, but only on the Energizers that are in the corners.
I never noticed.
Not in the middle of the maze.
Oh, I did not notice that.
I didn't notice that.
So that might be just the arcade version. Maybe I don't remember which. I was playing both, so. But I definitely know that one. It only is only the Energizers in the corners.
Huh. Well, I'll have to look out for that.
I have to play this a little bit.
I kind of wish a homebrewer would kind of pick this ROM up and finish it off.
Yeah,
and
it seems like it would be
a
relatively easy project to tighten this up a bit and polish it off.
I mean, they did it with Tempest. It's like, God, get this one and finish it off. Put the intermissions in there, fix that bug, put it in a box and stuff. Oh my gosh, I'd be all over it.
I'd buy it in a second. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, I'd buy it in a second.
I thought about getting it anyway, but it seems, I don't know, it is slightly unfinished, I think, so I decided not to.
Yeah, the thought crossed my mind, just like you. Well, there's no intermissions. It's got that bug.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, without the intermissions, it's still a great game.
Oh yeah.
It feels very finished. I mean, I didn't know about that bug. I read about it later on, but I didn't come across it.
Yeah, I never ran into it.
I felt like I was playing a finished version of the game.
Yeah. And
honestly, I rarely ever finished the first maze. The first 2 mazes. I wouldn't see the intermissions anyway. So
I could never get past the drum, the third one.
Wow, you got to the drum.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I got to the drums too. I don't think I cleared it.
I ain't talking to you.
Oh, sorry.
But yeah, it's a really great game. On a scale of 1 to 10, even though it's an unfinished game, what would you give this game, Rick?
Oh, it's I played it. I don't know. It definitely had to go back to it. I kept hit reset, do it again. I got to get another round of this. So that to me, that kind of game's a 9 or a 10. I maybe give it the 9 just because the bug was still in it.
Yeah.
Especially since I tripped over it. but no, it's really good. So I'll give it a 9.
Yeah, it really shines on the 5200. That's for sure. Yep. How about you, Matt? What do you give this?
I'd probably give it an 8, just because I think the flicker's a little egregious at times, but it's still a really solid game.
Well, see, I'm used to the ColecoVision, so don't bother me.
Yeah.
It's a good port. It's a solid port, even as is. I would still give it an 8.
How about you, Michael? What do you think?
So what I did was, after playing Junior Pac-Man, I went back and played Pac-Man, the original Pac-Man for the 5200, and Ms. Pac-Man. And I got to tell you, I'm just going to play Junior Pac-Man from now on. I really love this game, so I would definitely give it a 9.
Awesome.
And nothing against those other 2 games. I think they're really good ports. But I think Atari really did a great job, and it's really a shame this didn't come out. This was not released.
Yeah, I really wish it did.
Yeah.
I keep my fingers crossed, like I said, that some home brewer will finish this thing off. Me, I give it a 9 as well. I mean, it's a really fun Pac-Man game, and like you, Michael, I tend to want to play this one more than the original Pac-Man on the 5200 or Miss Pac-Man. Really good game. So what game do you guys want to discuss next time? Who's got the list? You got the
Crickets.
list, man? Who's got the list? The list, man. The list. Where's the list?
I don't even know where the list is. So
Yeah.
I'm out.
There's a list.
I'm just going to throw this out there, and feel free to veto it, but what about Gorf?
That sounds good.
Gorf is on 5200?
It is, and it's not bad. It's a little different.
I didn't know that.
Won't spoil it for you. It's a little
Okay.
weird control-wise, but it is on.
Oh, no, it's one of those, huh? Frogger?
No, it's not that bad.
Oh, okay.
You're not going to build a special controller just to play it.
Yeah, I had to build a special controller to play Frogger. Yeah, that's true. What are you trying to do to me, Matt? Crippled me, man? All right.
I think it's a neat port. I like it.
What do you think, guys? No, Rick? You think?
Sounds
Gorf?
good.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All righty. Well, until next time, everyone, keep those 5200 consoles happy.
Saw you lost your man cave, Michael. Looks like it's infested
Yeah.
with girls.
Yeah, I just kicked them all out, though, so it's back.
It's infested. It's infested with the women folk.
I would say hit him up on Marco Polo, but I don't think it's going to work.
No. It's not on there either.
I've never heard of that app, to be honest.
Neither did
either.
I. One of my buddies wanted me to get on there so we can chat back and forth. I was like, that's kind of cool.
I'm like, okay, you guys gotta leave.
You guys gotta leave. You gotta go.
I gotta talk about video games now. You gotta go.
You wouldn't play Junior Pac-Man, so now you get kicked out. You're kicking out of here, man.
If you tried that Tetris 99, Michael.
Oh my god. So she's gotten in second place a few times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm lucky if I break 50th.
Yeah, I'm not very good at Tetris, so I get it handed to me, but it's a neat concept, I think.
Yeah, it's like the Fortnite for Tetris.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it is.
Fortress. No.
Fortress.
Tet Night or something.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I didn't
It's
even
you
know about
against-
that game.
It's you against 98 other players.
What?
Yeah, you can see all the other games going on in the background, and whoever, whoever is last man standing.
Yeah, and it's standard Tetris. It's just you're playing against 98 other players, and as you can control, so you can be battling against like the top players. So I think when you score, when you get a line, it knocks them out a line.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's I haven't really figured out exactly how it works, but it's a lot of fun.
I don't really get who it pairs you with or whatever. I don't know.
That I don't know. But it was a free game, so.
Yeah, right. It's pretty amazing for being just a freebie.
Yeah.
It's a free game?
It's a free game on the Switch. I don't know what other consoles
on the
it's out on.
Switch.
Yeah.
No wonder I didn't know about it.
We're going to mail you a Switch, Willie. You're going to be forced to join us.
No, I don't think Rick's going to show up. Something must have happened.
I snuck in, Willie.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, hey.
I pulled up Skype and it said ongoing call, and I thought to myself, I think I'm allowed to join that. Because usually I wait for you guys to call me or whatever.
Oh, sure. He'll join the call, but he won't join Marco Polo.
I don't even know what Marco Polo is. I had to look it up. It's like, oh, it's some kind of chat thingy. Okay.
It's a little chat app, man. We've already made use of it. Matt showed his little Pac Man arcade card he picked up, and I got to watch some kids Irish dancing for Michael.
I didn't know what the app was for, and I'm like, I was at my my girlfriend's daughter she's in the Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
So I was there when I loaded up the app with my kids, and I'm like, oh, here, feel my pain.
Yeah. I was like, what is he sending me?
You guys can play video games. I'm stuck here.